What's up, everyone? Welcome to the Fat Glass Podcast. I'm here with Sean, Logan, and Zachary Bertram. Today we're just going to be discussing night one, round one of the NFL draft. Just opinions, who we thought won, who we thought lost, maybe some diamonds in the rough, and just some specific teams that we are following really individually. So how do we want to get started here, boys?
I think we should talk about definitely just the first overall pick with Joe Burrow, for sure, 100%.
Yeah.
I think it was kind of expected.
It's the same.
I want to know your opinions on Joe Burrow.
Yeah, I think Joe Burrow, the narrative of Joe Burrow is very similar to like the last years we've had in the draft. Like Baker Mayfield, Kyler Murray, we all knew going into the draft they were going to be the number one overall pick. Same thing with Joe Burrow. But I think you can't overlook the talent that Joe Burrow showed in his last season at LSU. Like, he took a 2018 that was decent, like, not bad by any means, not insane. And he put up a 2019. Like, his stats are literally, you could argue it was the best college football season of all time.
For sure.
And have we seen college football players that we thought to be, like, I don't want to say unbreakable, but we thought to be, like, it's impossible for this player to be a bust. All over. Like Matt Leinart, huge bust. Everyone thought he was going to be the saving grace for the Arizona Cardinals, and he sucked. Like, he was horrible. But I think Joe Burrow, he's obviously got the talent, and I don't have much more to say about that. Like, Joe Burrow has got the talent. He's got the numbers. He's proved it to everyone on that football field by winning a national championship, the Heisman. Like, it was a done deal.
Oh, for sure.
I think a lot of it depends on the Bengals coaching staff and what they have going on there, how they'll utilize his strengths and try to build on his weaknesses and try to get him better in those areas. I mean, I don't know. The talent coming into Cincinnati with Joe Burrow is fantastic, but what weapons does he have? They have A.J. Green, right? I'm assuming, but what else do they have?
I think that's going to set them up for a great second round. With potentially getting some B grade receivers, because obviously we don't have any more CeeDee Lamb or Jerry Jeudy, but there's still some good receivers in the league that can easily help Joe Burrow on that offense.
Yeah, even going off of that, like, number one is setting up a good passing attack is a good rushing attack. That's my wholehearted philosophy. Like, if you can set up the rushing attack, not only can you start running play actions, you just open up your playbook. Going 2nd and 10 because you had an incomplete pass is a lot worse than going 2nd and 7, 2nd and 5 because you had a rush. So I think that with only one running back off the board, and with the first pick in the second round, the Cincinnati Bengals could go with a Dobbins or a Swift that we expected someone like Miami to pick at that number 30 spot. So that would be another way to just give Joe Burrow weapons that he could utilize.
For sure. He also has John Ross and Tyler Boyd. We also can't count that out. They're still developing, though. They're still developing, though. But I feel like in a few years, once Burrow matures, Ross matures, and Tyler Boyd fully develops, I think they'll have some good weapons. I also have something to tell you, or something to ask your opinion on. I read somewhere that some Bengals fans were hoping that they would have picked Chase Young instead of Burrow.
I honestly don't fault that line of reasoning. I think that there are teams in this draft who have highlighted positions of need and filled those positions with the wrong player. And I also think that there are teams that had the right player in the wrong position of need. Now, do I think Andy Dalton is the answer for the Bengals' future? No. And I think Joe Burrow was a great pick to go about getting Dalton's replacement. But if you're unless you're looking to seriously rebuild, which I think the Bengals organization should, there's something to be said about picking a talent like Chase Young instead of Joe Burrow at a position where you already have a starter-ish level player in Dalton.
I think
here's the deal. The Bengals division, they have the Ravens and they have the Browns. So if you look at that, they have two quarterbacks in that division that they have to contain in Lamar Jackson and Baker Mayfield to a certain degree, which is pretty difficult for teams to do, especially for Lamar. I mean, someone like Chase Young, who is considered the best athlete to come out of this 2020 draft, as a defensive end spot. A lot of people look at him as a future Hall of Famer, potential J.J. Watt, Khalil Mack level of pass rush and run-stopping ability. I mean, I definitely see where Bengals fans are coming from in terms of wanting Chase Young with the competition that they have in the division.
The only reason why, I also think that it's a viable thing that they could say is because you look at quarterbacks from previous years, like A.J. McCarron out of Alabama a few years ago, total bust. He's actually been the backup for the Bengals. Then there's RG3, whose career was littered with injuries, who was going to be a top prospect out of Baylor. His career went nowhere. So I can see what people are saying, because it's never a for sure solidified career out of a top quarterback. But I think Joe Burrow's proved himself to be perfectly fine. So I can see where the Bengals fans are coming from, but I feel like the right pick was Joe Burrow, 100%.
Yeah, but the thing is, a lot of defensive linemen have already been taken, whereas Chase Young is a good defensive lineman. They could have waited. They have the first pick tonight, 33rd overall.
Yeah.
And they could have, and Jalen Hurts is still available. And who knows what would have happened if Joe Burrow was taken second and sort of messed up the lineup. Maybe Jordan Love would have even been available. We don't know. But the thing is that just because they could have taken that defensive player and had a little bit less skill than Joe Burrow, but could have worked him up. So it's just sort of a matter of what the team liked more. And I think they like a more in the pocket passer with Joe Burrow than they would with a rollout quarterback, because they don't want to risk the injuries.
Not only that, but in a division with T.J. Watt, you also got now Calais Campbell in that division. You got some really elite pass rushers in that division. Joe Burrow not only has the ability to stay in the pocket, take a hit, and still make an accurate throw, but he also has the ability to scramble for a good 5 yards, 10 yards if the holes present themselves. Now, obviously, he was playing against college-level defenders, and those tricks aren't going to be as easy to pull against NFL pros. But I still think that having a little bit of agility in Burrow, he reminds me of someone. Now, I don't want to say that he's a Patrick Mahomes, but the way he plays, he's got the cannon, he's got the accuracy, and he's got a little bit of mobility. I don't think he's as fast as Mahomes, and I don't think he has nearly as much mobility as Mahomes, but he's definitely a little bit more of an improviser and a pure athlete at that. I think Burrow is rightfully so the number one pick in the draft.
For sure, man. If he wasn't the number one pick, though, where do you guys think he would have fallen? Do you think that the Redskins would have taken him 2 and replaced Haskins? Or do you think he would have fallen to 5 to the Dolphins, or maybe gone to the Lions?
I think he would have gone to the Lions, in all honesty.
I think for sure he would have gone to the Lions as well.
Yeah,
for sure.
I think the Lions should have done something similar to the Packers, because Matthew Stafford's not a bad quarterback. You can't look at Matthew Stafford's career and say he's a bad quarterback. But he needs to be replaced. He's regressing. He needs to be replaced. And he was never an elite quarterback. So they need maybe someone like Jordan Love. I mean, obviously Jordan Love's off the board, but go about a strategy like that where you get a lower round quarterback and just have him train under, see if he's a talent that you really like. But that would be putting a little bit too much faith, I believe, in the Lions organization to address the talent level of the quarterback later in the draft. For sure.
All right. I also have another pick that we should talk about. The 5 and 6 pick with the Dolphins and the Chargers. Tua and Justin Herbert. How do you guys feel about Tua going to the Dolphins at number 5?
Honestly, I think that's one of the biggest wins. I think Tua has the talent. If he can stay healthy, he's going to be, I think he can be a good quarterback for the next 10, 15 years. I feel like he can be a franchise guy. We see through all the medical reports that he's healthier than ever. Doctors are saying that his hip it mirrors his healthy hip. So I don't see any problems with that. And honestly, I think Dolphins, sort of going off on a tangent, but I think they were the winner of the draft, the overall winner, just because they also got an offensive tackle to help protect Tua even more. And they got another cornerback, which potentially gives them the best cornerback trio in the league.
Yeah.
I like that. I'm going to kind of go back on to talking about Tua and talking about Justin Herbert. As a Pac-12 guy, I'm a big Arizona State fan. I think Justin Herbert is very good. I think he's working with less weapons than someone like a Tua Tagovailoa or a Joe Burrow, obviously being in the Pac-12, but also being an Oregon-based they do have access to they have a lot of recruiting power with their facilities. And I just think that Justin Herbert is a really good player. I think that
why not great?
Show more consistency. Why not great? Because he's like 20? Like, I don't think any of these players. 22? Okay, well then he's great. No, I'm just kidding. He's too young. I mean, you got to give him time in the NFL. I can't say he's a great NFL player if he hasn't played a snap in the NFL. You know,
is Kyler Murray great?
Kyler Murray's not great yet. Kyler Murray's like 5 years old, dude. He's like a fetus. But no, but Kyler Murray has the potential to be great. And I think that Justin Herbert, Tua Tagovailoa, and Joe Burrow all have the potential to be great, given the right circumstances. I think
for sure,
building towards the future of the NFL, Tua Tagovailoa is like the marquee, like what you want guy. I really do. He's accurate. He has he's got the footwork in the pocket. He's just solid. He's mobile. Sure. Like that's what the NFL is starting to lean towards. They're not ready to lean towards an extreme like RG3. We already saw that teams weren't ready for him. But also with Lamar Jackson, he's definitely more of a running back, but he has the skills to play quarterback. I honestly consider him a running back. Like that's probably an unpopular opinion. I know a lot of people say it, mostly joking. But his rushing stats, his ability to juke, his ability to spin and just trick defenders is insane. But I don't think the league is ready for that, for that to be the future of the quarterback position. I think the future of the quarterback position goes to someone like Patrick Mahomes. A little bit of mobility, strong arm, good accuracy. Thanks, Logan.
Yeah, man.
But yeah, that's my personal opinion. I think Tua's a really good pick for the Dolphins. I think Justin Herbert's a really good pick for the Chargers. I'm excited to see where their career takes them.
Yeah, man. I want to hear your opinions on Herbert before I go, because as a Chargers fan, I feel kind of biased. So, Brad, I want to know what you're saying about him.
Justin Herbert kind of reminds me a lot of Josh Allen from the Bills with his just throw power. I mean, wasn't he standing on the goal line just flat-footed?
Yeah.
And didn't he launch the ball like 70-something yards?
Yeah.
I mean, that's insane. That's incredible. And then, yeah, you guys brought up mobility, and that's definitely the future of the NFL. I mean, I, for one, I love quarterbacks that truck defenders, and I love quarterbacks that hurdle defenders, and then I love quarterbacks that can throw the ball a mile. And Josh Allen and Justin Herbert, I think, fit that bill just a bit. Justin Herbert, I mean, yeah, all rookie quarterbacks, they got to learn. But I think he has a really high ceiling, especially with the Chargers. And they have some weapons there in Keenan Allen and Mike Williams. And then they have a decent running back still. I mean, Austin Eckler, who wasn't that bad. Giving up Melvin Gordon wasn't a bad idea either. I don't know. Justin Herbert, though, I think will do well.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I think so, too. I might sound a little biased because I'm a Chargers fan, but
wait, are you a Chargers fan? You haven't mentioned that yet.
No, I'm a Clippers fan. So if you look at his 2018 stats compared to his 2019 stats, he had I don't know, the first 2 years of his career, actually 2016-17, he only played 9 and 8 games in each season, and then 2018-19 he played 13 and 14 games, and his numbers went up almost 1,500 yards. And in 2019 he only had 2 interceptions going into the last 4 games, and then he threw 4 interceptions going into those last 4 games, or at the end of the last 4 games. So he finished the year with 32 touchdowns, 6 interceptions, which he kind of fell off those last 4 games, especially with that game against Arizona State that he lost. But that game against Arizona State wasn't even honestly that bad. He had 300 yards. He had the 2 picks, but he also had 2 touchdowns. He was 20 for 36. His completion or his pass rating was like 101 or something like that. I don't know. But he's huge. He's a 6'6", 237 kid. He's huge. I think he also has some mobility to him. If you've seen that game where he took off for like a 30-yard rushing touchdown, that was crazy. He has some mobility to him if the opportunity presents itself, if he needs to. But he has that bazooka arm. I think his frame and his decision making will be fine. But the one thing I question though is that he's very introverted. He's very quiet. So I don't like him being a leader. Kind of scares me a little bit because he might be a little bit too quiet. Because filling that gap where Phillip Rivers was an insane leader. Like, yeah, he had that trash talk, like the G-rated trash talk, but he was also a leader to that offense, and he brought the fire to that offense. And that's where a lot of our spark came from. So I don't know if we're going to get that same that same emotion out of Justin Herbert, but I feel like the play style will be just fine.
Before we jump into the winner and losers, do you mind if I bring up one more pick, or do you have something to say about this, about Justin Herbert, Brad?
No, go right ahead.
I want to talk about a player. I want to talk about an unpick, and we can kind of go into I kind of want to talk about a player and where he landed in the draft. I want to talk about Isaiah Simmons. I mean, that man, he's a man and a half. But the Panthers, with the opportunity to take Isaiah Simmons at 7 did not. And while it's their pick, I'm blanking on his name. It's undeniable that he's talented. He's insane. Was it the right pick for them to pass on Simmons, falling to them at 7?
I don't know, honestly. I mean, I can see why they would want Simmons because they've lost Thomas Davis and Luke Kuechly at their linebacker positions. They lost Thomas Davis 2 years ago. They lost Luke Kuechly to retirement. So they definitely need to fill that void. But I also feel like their run defense was awful last year. And getting a solid D tackle that's his size. How tall is he? He's like
6'8", I think. 6'7.5".
Derek Brown, he is
6'5", 326.
Okay.
Yeah, he's 6'5", 326.
That's still monstrous.
Like having that at the front will definitely help the run defense. However, I feel like not getting the linebacker there could fault them, but I feel like they needed to fill both positions, so I don't think they could have gone wrong with either one. I feel like both of them would have helped.
See, the thing I see with their pick is they just had to prioritize.
Wait, can I pause the draft real quick? Can
Okay.
we pause this real quick and then we can just edit out? I have to pee really bad and my food's here, so I'll be back. Hold on.
That's not getting edited out. Oh wait, do we have to do another intro?
Why not?
And welcome back, guys. Thanks for joining in. No, but I think that if we go to the Panthers, we can see that they need linebackers, cornerbacks, safeties, defensive tackles, right?
You just listed off every single position on the defense.
They need defense. That's the thing.
And every single position that Isaiah Simmons plays.
They need defense, right? Isaiah Simmons would have been a great pick because he can play everywhere, but I think they don't want one person that can play everywhere. They want one person that can play each spot. And that's the thing that sure he can play on the D line and that he can play back as a cornerback, as on slot receiver as a corner and stuff like that. But when it comes down to what they need, I think they want to fill each and every position with a solid player, whether that not be fulfilled in the draft. They might need to pick up some more free agents or something, but I still see their reasoning behind skipping on Isaiah Simmons.
I mean, you want someone that's good at a lot of things or someone who specializes in one area and has focused their entire football career on that area. I mean, Isaiah Simmons is a phenomenal athlete, but I don't know. It's really hard to decide what NFL defenses are going to do. I mean, it adds an element of surprise and just the unknown factor for offenses to game plan against. But I mean, it also, there's two sides to the coin. It's hard to know where to put him really for your scheme and what he does.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I want to jump in right here. I think that it's clear to see why the Panthers took where they did. I know I brought this up, kind of inciting that maybe the Panthers made the wrong choice. I don't think either choice was the wrong choice. I think that's what Logan said. I think that's what Zach said. But you have to look at the position that either team is in. With the loss of Cam Newton, really the only thing that the Panthers have going for them, a player on an elite level, is Christian McCaffrey. If you look at their 2014, 2016, 2015 Super Bowl appearance, Super Bowl 50, none of those big name players are still on the team.
Mm-hmm.
Josh Norman, gone. Luke Kuechly, retired. Cam Newton, he's gone. You look at all these, Kelvin Benjamin, gone. Hey, Zoom just gave me a gift, so we've removed the 40-minute time limit, so we are good to go. Thank you, Zoom. Yay! Zoom. Hashtag not sponsored.
Hashtag that's getting cut out.
Hashtag ad.
Hashtag ad. Manscaped lawnmower 3.0. No, I'm just kidding.
Hey guys, Fat Classes Podcast is brought to you by OnlyFans.com.
Today's podcast is sponsored by Raid Shadow Legends.
No. Okay. That's what I was saying. The Panthers have lost pretty much everybody, and it's safe to say that this year could be seen as a rebuilding year for the Panthers. Simple as that. And so I agree with
The Panthers are going to be looking like the Dolphins did last year. I think that's the equivalent that the Panthers.
Rebuilding stage.
I think that's where the Panthers are headed this year.
I agree. I think the Panthers are need to rebuild, and in order to rebuild, you don't need one player who can fit multiple roles. Depending on who you're playing, because you're not looking to win as many games. You're in a division with the Bucks. You're in a division with the Saints, and you're in a division with the Falcons. And barring the Falcons, they looked all right last season. They still have the talent, but for some reason they couldn't put it together. I truly believe that. The Saints and the Bucks look scary. I don't know if the Bucks are gonna. I don't think the Bucks are gonna go off and win the Super Bowl. But there is that looming threat that they could, with coaching like Bruce Arians and the talent that they have. It's that risk is there. Now, saying that, the Panthers, they're looking to rebuild. They want one guy who can play D tackle for the next 10, 15 years and be their franchise guy. Isaiah Simmons is a way better fit for the Cardinals, who, after moves with signing Kenyon Drake, getting 3 defensive starters, including a D tackle and Jordan Phillips, and and the DeAndre Hopkins trade. Have just made moves that they're looking scary. They are in a scary division with the 49ers and the Seahawks. So we'll probably talk about the 49ers and their pick a little bit later. But they might not make the playoffs this year. They might make the playoffs with the talent they have, but they're in a much better position to make the playoffs, to make a run than the Panthers. And that's why I think that pick like Isaiah Simmons, who can play. I like the way they said it on draft night. He can rush and contain Russell Wilson one week, and then he can play man coverage on George Kittle the next.
Yep. And I feel like that works. I feel like Isaiah Simmons works for us like perfectly, because we were almost dead last in tight end defense last year.
Oh, yeah.
So I feel like that will definitely help us. Like that game against the Ravens, Mark Andrews literally went off for how many touchdowns? Like 2 or 3. Had so many catches, so many yards. Like, man, like I feel like with Isaiah Simmons, he had himself a day. I feel like Isaiah Simmons can help with that tight end defense, and also the run defense too. We weren't too good against the run, but with his containment, like you said, with mobile quarterbacks, but also that pass rush and that run stopping ability that he has from the linebacker position, I feel like he's so versatile that he can help us in many ways.
The Cardinals got better against the run as the season went on.
Oh, for sure.
If you look at their game, I always bring up the game against Seattle as one of their best games. They won that game with half of Kyler Murray and half of Brett Hundley. It wasn't as much about the quarterback position, like Kyler Murray being that superstar that we kind of know, we can kind of expect that he's going to be. It was a lot about like the defense coming together and the offensive line clicking. I mean, Kenyon Drake had like a 75-yard touchdown to start the game. Like, because the blocking was there. Now with an elite receiver, like the Cardinals, if everything clicks for them, I'm obviously, like Zach said, a little bit biased, but very scary team. Put up 2 great games against the 49ers, the Super Bowl runner-ups.
Should have won those games, man.
Should have won both of them, honestly. But they were close enough that like I was so happy with the result. So
yeah, for sure.
They put up good games against good teams, close games against teams that they shouldn't have necessarily been close, as in the tie against the Lions to start the season. But there's just flashes of just greatness in that team. I'm really excited. And being a Cardinals fan, if I'm excited for next year, I should be scared because they're probably going to disappoint me.
Yeah, you never know. All right. So I want to talk about a winner pick. I feel like we should all give us our winner picks. I think my biggest winner of the draft, again, it's going to be biased, is Kenneth Murray to the Chargers. I know Saints fans are going to be a little salty about that one because I feel like that's who they were going to pick with the 24th pick, and then the Chargers traded up with the Patriots in 23 to pick him, and got Kenneth Murray, a very an energetic and great linebacker. So I feel like he was I feel like he dropped a little bit. I saw in some mock drafts that he was going like 18, 19, somewhere around there, but he fell to 23 to the Patriots, who ultimately traded it to us. So I feel like that's a winner for us. I'd rather have him than getting someone in the third and fifth round that we traded for. So I'm excited about that pick for sure.
Yeah, I agree with that. My winners, I know Logan's already said it. I'm kind of steered away from it. Or it might have even been Zach. I don't remember exactly who said it. But the Miami Dolphins. I mean, it's hard to beat 3 draft picks. If you look at each of their individual draft picks, I think Tua is a really good pick. I think Austin Jackson's a little questionable. And their cornerback, I'm not even going to try to pronounce his name, Noah.
Tua Tagovailoa.
Not
what?
Him, dude. I can
No, the corner.
Tagovailoa. Their cornerback.
I think they chose with like
30th overall.
That dude, yeah, a big again.
He's really good. I think that they're a little bit more questionable. I mean, when you look at the sheer amount of cornerbacks taken in this draft in this first round, they're taking the 8th or 9th cornerback available. I didn't exactly look at how many cornerbacks were taken before then, but him combined with Xavier Howard and Byron Jones, they're just going to have lockdown pass defense. I really believe that something that they lost with when they traded away Minkah Fitzpatrick is now back in the form of their cornerbacks just being very elite. We'll see if they're in a very wide open division. And while individually the picks might have been questionable, there's 3 picks, all boosted their team in ways that they needed boosting. And I think that you can't fault any of them. I could go more into specifics on each pick, but my only gripe was that they didn't pick a running back with 30 instead of a third cornerback that can only really play in the nickel or in the slot for them, since they already have Xavier Howard and Byron Jones. But they do pick again at 39. And with the 2 top running back prospects coming into the draft, Swift and Dobbins still being there, there's still a chance that they can get one of those 2 at 39. Mm-hmm. And I mean, you have to remember, their leading rusher last year was Ryan Fitzpatrick, 37-year-old. He had 240 yards. They had league worst rushing offense, 72 yards per game, and about 1,200 yards all season. So any rushing help is appreciated by them. I really think so. But
I don't mean to jump in front of you guys. What's up, Brad?
I was going to say, for me, I think the winning pick in this draft might be Tristan Wirfs, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers tackle that they picked up out of Iowa. I mean, dude, this guy's a freaking monster. I don't know if you've seen the video of him jumping out of the pool, 3 to 4 feet in water, like 3 to 4 feet in water. Guys, I think it was.
I've only seen one other person do that. I've only seen one other person do that. David Johnson. Yeah. Yeah,
like NFL dropped a video of Chase Young doing box jumps, and I don't know if you guys saw that, but he was doing 4 feet box jumps. Yeah. Tristan Wirfs was jumping out of 3.5 feet of water. That's insane. This guy, dude, just looking at him and what he does and looking at some of his just highlights and stuff and what he brought to Iowa, he is insane. He is strong and he is fast. His 40 time was a 4.85 as a lineman.
He was the fastest lineman, correct?
I think so. I think he was the fastest lineman. And then he hit the Iowa State weight room record for, I think, cleans.
Iowa.
I forgot what weight it was. It was something insane. And at Iowa, that is a big deal. Iowa's weight room is not to be taken lightly. That's one of the things that they're actually known for is their weight room and what they do there. Tristan Wirfs is going to bring a lot of protection for Brady, and I think he's going to just open up a lot of just different trap plays that the Tampa Bay Buccaneers can run, whether they pull him and use him as a lead blocker with his speed and with his power. I mean, there's a lot of things you can do with a tackle like this. I think the Bucs scored this offseason and in this draft. So
when did they pick? What do you know? What overall they picked him at?
13.
Yeah,
13.
Yeah,
I believe.
I think that with the absence of a clear starting running back in Tampa Bay, a pick like Wirfs would have been much better at New York at number 4.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we can talk about that for a second, but I think that's pretty clear. Tristan Wirfs is a monster. He's an animal. He's a great guy. Wasn't Tristan Wirfs the one who rolled out the red carpet for his mom?
I think so.
Yeah, he's just a stand-up guy. And I think the Giants really missed out. I think they identified – I remember saying earlier, there are teams that identified the right position they needed to fill and filled it with the wrong player, and teams that identified the right player at their spot, but did not fill the position that they needed to fill. I think the Giants fall into that. They identified, hey, we could use some tackle help Saquon, you know. Saquon's he's an insane running back, but if he had any help on offensive line, he'd be that much better. And so just getting that help for him would be fantastic. Also would have liked better help. I think Wirfs would have been a better fit there.
Yeah. And to add on to Brad, man, I'm looking at his combine results. He had 24 reps at bench press.
That's decent.
Vertical jump was 36.5, broad jump 121, and like Brad said, 4.85 40-yard dash at 6'5", 320 pounds. Like, that's insane athleticism for someone that big.
To put that in perspective, you said he had a 36.5-inch vertical?
Yeah.
Justin Jefferson had a 37.5-inch vertical.
Yeah.
That's wide receiver verticals, safeties verticals.
That's like NBA verticals. That's like NBA verticals.
And he's what? So, how tall is he? How big is he?
6'5", 320.
Okay. So he's pretty average size for an offensive lineman. I mean, he's not insanely tall.
So
he's insanely tall, but not for an offensive lineman.
No, I honestly have to agree with Brad. I think that the winners were the Bucs for this pick over the Kenneth Murray thing. I like listening to Brad's reasoning. I think this was a better pick than the Kenneth Murray trade, even though I feel like Kenneth Murray was also good. And then my other winner that I would also put above Kenneth Murray would be Jerry Jeudy, the Broncos.
That's a really good pick.
I really enjoy seeing Jerry Jeudy on the Broncos, especially opposite of Cortland Sutton. They got rid of Emmanuel Sanders like long ago, so obviously they're trying to fill that void. Opposite of Cortland Sutton, give Drew Lock some more weapons. They also have Noah Fant and Jake Butt, so I feel like that's going to be.
I love Jake Butt, Michigan alum.
Yeah, he's going to be. I feel like him going to the Broncos at 15 is a very good pick for them. I think that was a win for them. If I were to grade that pick, I would give it an A. I feel like Jerry Jeudy was probably the best receiver in the draft. I'm surprised that the Raiders didn't take him at 12, but I mean, the wide receiver class was stacked with the first
Raiders
4 or 5
Ruggs.
receivers. So
the Raiders got Ruggs, who seemed like not a bad pick. I don't know if I would personally put him at the first wide receiver taken, but I also would have seen the Jets taking a wide receiver too.
Mm-hmm.
To get
but they picked
some help.
Mekhi Becton. They
not bad at all.
Becton, so I'm not mad about that.
That's not a bad pick.
Who's your winner?
My winner? For overall for the first round, I'm going to stick with Miami Dolphins just because I think they made some moves that will benefit them. But player-wise, for a win, I would have to say, where is it? I'm looking at the picks right here. The Raiders also had some great picks with Henry Ruggs and Damon Arnett because those are two positions that they drastically need. Other than a quarterback, I feel like those are the two positions that they've been slacking off on.
Their quarterback room is starting to look pretty good. I mean, they have Mariota, who's their quarterback room is like it's not insanely good. They don't have a superstar like next level quarterback.
But they have two pretty washed quarterbacks. They can still perform, but they're on the decline of their careers. Okay, so it wouldn't hurt them to pull in a young quarterback, get rid of one of the vets. That's what I'm thinking from this draft. But they don't have a second round pick. So it's going to be hard for them unless they trade up to have someone to fill that void. But that's who I have as the big winner is probably that Henry Ruggs, just because they knew that they needed a wide receiver and they took it. And they took the best one available nonetheless. So
I had one more winner I wanted to speak about. And I think that the reason I want to bring it up is because no one's brought him up yet. CeeDee Lamb to the Cowboys at 17.
I was just going to say that. Yep.
Steal.
I know, Brad, you're shaking your head. You're shaking your head, but CeeDee Lamb should not have dropped to 17. CeeDee Lamb is an absolute monster, and if you watch his ability to make plays on the ball, it's insane. 6'2", 198. He's fast. His unofficial 40 time was 4.5, which is like I want to say average for someone of that caliber, but that's still insanely fast.
Opposite of Amari Cooper.
Exactly. He's opposite of him.
I think his mom recorded his 40 time and got an unofficial 4.25, which is
something insane.
Even though it's unofficial, that's still very fast.
Yeah. And we have to remember that they also have the Gallup, right? The Cowboys, they have Amari Cooper and Gallup. So having a third just all-star receiver makes that Dallas Cowboys offense just that much more threatening. With an already established line, Ezekiel Elliott in the backfield, I'm starting to think that the worst part of that Dallas Cowboys offense is Dak Prescott, who just got paid. He's the weakest link of that Dallas Cowboys offense. That's saying something. They're going to be scary.
They also need a tight end, though.
I agree with that.
Tight end's probably their weakest link. But
I think they go one in the backfield, 3 wide, like 4 wide. They have the talent to do something like that.
I'm also pulling up his combine results. Like you said, 4.5 unofficial 40, 11 reps on the bench press. That's not a lot. But what jumps out to me is that Tristan Wirfs has a higher vertical jump than CeeDee Lamb by 2 inches. 34.5 for CeeDee Lamb, 36.5 for Tristan Wirfs. And then Tristan Wirfs had a 121 broad jump. CeeDee Lamb has a 124 broad jump, which is still like insanely good, but that's only 3 inches better than a lineman. You know what I'm saying? So
yeah, but like CeeDee Lamb, if you look at the way he played in a really good division in college. He played against some really good cornerbacks, a lot of the cornerbacks that were taken in this first round of the draft. And he was still he has the ability to make a play on the ball in any area of the field. Deep, close, medium. He can make a play on the ball. He can get around the defender and just make insane catches. So while the height and the vertical jump isn't there, as long as Dak Prescott, I mean, it's a little bit much to ask Dak Prescott to make insanely accurate throws because that's not the type of quarterback he is. He's not bad by any stretch of the imagination, but compared to a Carson Wentz, if you want to chill out a little bit, Brad, I will give a little bit of praise to Carson Wentz. I just also think that someone that can make those catches would be a lot better suited under a better quarterback. But it's hard to fault them for taking CeeDee Lamb. I mean, CeeDee Lamb should not have gone 17, and I think that's one of the diamond in the roughs. Really.
Cowboys should not have taken CeeDee Lamb. And I think the Eagles were expecting the Cowboys to not do that. Eagles were either going to trade up with the Falcons or they're going to wait. The picks that were before the Eagles were the Jags, Raiders, Dolphins, Dallas. That was after the Falcons. Dallas taking CeeDee Lamb is a payback from the 2018 draft where I think it was the 2018 draft where the Eagles took Dallas Goedert.
Somebody watched EDP 445.
I sure did. Here's the deal. Dallas did not need CeeDee Lamb at all. They lost Byron Jones. They gave him to the Dolphins. They have no defensive backs.
No.
I'm going to list off a few cornerbacks that went up after the Cowboys pick. Damon Arnett went to the Raiders. Pretty good. Solid cornerback. Who else we got here? We got the dude the Dolphins picked up. And then we got Jeff Gladney from TCU. I mean, we had some solid quarterback picks that went after the Cowboys pick, and that's what they needed is defensive backs. They don't have that.
Okay, the thing is, at the end of the day, though, I agree 100% with what you're saying. Jerry Jones will do whatever he wants to that team. And Jerry Jones said before that that was like the guy that he loved. He said he loved CeeDee Lamb. Seeing him drop to 17, though, if you're there, you don't want to skip on that opportunity. No. Especially if your GM, president, and owner just loves that player.
And that being said, you also, like, the last time that the Cowboys have selected a first-round wide receiver, 2010, Des Bryant. That worked out for them. I mean, was he Calvin Johnson level insane at the time? No, but he was still really good. He was a really good wide receiver. It worked out for them. And I think that CeeDee Lamb's going to work out for them too.
We'll see. I don't know. That Amari Cooper and Michael Gallup, I think they already have a fantastic receiving core there. But yeah, no, you can't. It's hard to argue against CeeDee Lamb. It really is. But I mean, I don't know. I see more pressing needs that the Cowboys have that are not the wide receiver position.
While we're talking about wide receivers, I think we should go into our losers. And instead of arguing for CeeDee Lamb, why don't you start arguing for Jalen Reagor, Brad? Because that was one of my losers of the draft. Instead of going with Justin Jefferson, the Eagles went with Jalen Reagor. They didn't trade up to get a CeeDee Lamb. They didn't trade up to get someone like that. They also didn't pick Justin Jefferson right in front of them. They picked Jalen Reagor. I want to hear your thoughts about that. Or Brandon Ayuk, yeah. I want to hear your thoughts about that, Brad.
Jalen Reagor fits the Eagles' play style a lot more than Justin Jefferson does. The Eagles, what they should have done was traded up for CeeDee Lamb. That's what they should have done. They should have traded with the Falcons, the pick before the Dallas Cowboys, and they should have taken CeeDee Lamb. Bottom line. But Jalen Reagor is the next best thing for the Eagles. I mean, if you look at his stats and you look at what he did at TCU, his quarterback play was awful. All right.
Yeah.
So a lot of those drops that he has or had, he caught 80% of every catchable ball. Now, Jalen Reagor, what he does, he reminds me of Deshaun Jackson when he was drafted, his special teams ability and his ability to separate himself from defenders. And then another thing Jalen Reagor has is, what's his vertical? Let's take a look at that. I know it's something insane. Let me pull that up here. Jalen Reagor's ability to jump up and get the ball is insane. His vertical jump was 42 inches. His 40-yard dash was a 4.47. He's 5'11", 206 pounds. Okay, he's just under 6 feet, but he's decent size. 206 pounds. He's a big wide receiver. He's a physical guy. He can jump up and high point the ball, which is huge. We need that separation. The Eagles have Dallas Goedert and Zach Ertz, which I think is the best 2 tight end punch that any team has in the NFL. All right, a lot of like San Francisco and the Chiefs, they have Travis Kelce and George Kittle, and that's fantastic. Those are great tight ends, and they're better than Ertz. But the Eagles with Ertz and Goddard, I think, have the best 1-2 tight end punch that they're going to be attacking the middle of the field with. On the outside, you got Deshaun Jackson screaming down the field, and you got Jalen Reagor screaming down the other side of the field. Jalen Reagor is huge in the intermediate to long range, and I think that's where the Eagles needed the most help this season. If you were to take a look at the names of the wide receivers the Eagles started their last 4 games, you would have no idea who those guys were at all. All right? So
you're right.
I agree with that. I agree with that.
So you take a look at that. One, that says a lot about Carson Wentz, and that also says a lot about the coaching and how they were able to – and what they were able to do those last 4 weeks to get them to the playoffs. Granted, the NFC East was dumpster fire last season. But, I mean, you got to give them credit with no receivers and what Wentz was able to do. Reagor is just – it fits, man. That's what Doug Peterson needs. That's what Howie Roseman, the GM, he found to be a need for the Eagles. I mean – I trust him. I don't think that was a loser. I don't think that was a winner either. But the Eagles should have traded for CeeDee Lamb. They should have traded up and taken CeeDee Lamb. But the next best thing was Jalen Reagor, I think, for them.
I didn't have him as a loser pick. I didn't have a winner as a winner pick. I actually had him as a surprise pick more than anything, because I've heard of Reagor before. Like I knew of him, but I didn't follow him. But after doing some research last night after the draft and looking at him, because you said that you actually really liked him, I agree with what you're saying. I don't think it was a winner pick for at all. I think it was just right. But I don't think it was a losing pick either. I think it was more of a surprise than anything.
My personal opinion. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Zach.
Oh no, I was just going to get into the losers. But if you got something to say, go ahead.
I got one more thing to say about Reagor. What did you say his 40 time was again?
4.47.
4.47. Unofficial time for Justin Jefferson was 4.43. Justin Jefferson is in his 6'1", so he has 2 inches on him. And while he doesn't have the same vertical, Justin Jefferson's faster and just he's just a beast. He's a beast on the ball. His vertical was 3.75 when you account for the 1 inch, his longer arms by 1 inch. He ends up having only 1.5 inches less of a vertical reach than Reagor. I agree that with spotty quarterback play, Reagor showed flashes of really good success. But I just think the reason why I have them as a loser is because this is also opinion, big opinion sign right here. I strictly see Justin Jefferson as better than Jalen Reagor. And I think that the Eagles were missing out by choosing not Justin Jefferson.
I don't know.
I think Justin Jefferson from this year's draft as a DK Metcalf from last year's draft. No one thought that he was going to be able to fit in Seattle, but he played amazing. I thought he was going to be a bust. At the combine, he was fast, but he was running straight routes. No one thought he could run routes, and he just showed up and he popped off in the NFL. And I feel like that's how Justin Jefferson's going to be. Like, Brad, I know you were saying you don't think he fits, but people didn't think that DK was going to fit in Seattle.
I mean, the scheme that the Eagles run is totally different than what Jefferson was used to at LSU. And LSU ran a spread. All right, and that opens the field up for Justin Jefferson. What Jalen Reagor can do that Justin Jefferson can't, which is huge for the Eagles, is separate from defenders. He can't do that. I mean, here in his weaknesses, it's listed. One, needs more attention to detail with his routes. 2, complacent to beat coverage with athletic ability. Unable to run away and separate from tight man. And size and strength across from him impede production. Look, I don't know. In terms of the Eagles' needs specifically, Jalen Reagor's better. Maybe it's I don't know. A lot of also what makes a player is the playbook and the scheme that team runs. And I think Reagor's going to benefit a lot more with the Eagles than Justin Jefferson will.
Yeah, I agree with Brad 100%. I feel like Jefferson's going to be is a bigger name, and people see him as better. I feel like, and he might be the better receiver, but I feel like Jalen Reagor will be better for the Eagles than Jefferson just because of the scheme, like Brad's saying. I feel like Brad said, the long and intermediate routes will be better than Justin Jefferson. So I say it's more on the spectrum of a winning pick than a losing pick, but I still have it like intermediate. Because you can never be surefire. My loser this year is going to be the Packers getting Jordan Love.
Something we can agree on.
I just feel like they're giving by this pick, because if you think about it, like they traded up to get this pick. They traded up in the first round, and to me, you can look at it 2 ways. Okay, either you're looking at it as they're going to give up on Rodgers here in the next 2 or 3 years, or they're getting him so that way he can be mentored by Rodgers, just like Brett Favre did with him, then to take that into the field. But I don't see it like that. I see it as they're just trying to give up on Rodgers, and they traded up to get the pick, which concerns me the most, which is the most confusing, because I feel like they wouldn't draft a quarterback in the first round and trade up for him if they're not going to just give up on who they have now. You know what I'm saying? I feel like Aaron Rodgers still has a few good years of play left, but I don't know. I just see this as they're giving up on him almost. So I feel like that's a losing pick. I feel like they could have used. I feel like could have used the D-line, maybe even a tight end. But I don't know. I don't think that pick was very smart.
I agree with you 1,000%. Yesterday, Aaron Rodgers was on the Pat McAfee show and said he was excited for them to draft a skill player. Right? He wanted someone. Their wide receivers are mediocre. Okay. He wanted a good player that he could throw to, right? We can see after the Jordan Love pick, there were no other wide receivers drafted. Okay. So wide receivers would have fallen down. There's still T. Higgins and Michael Pittman. Those are 2 amazing players. And I don't see what was going through their head when they decided, hey, let's find a replacement for a quarterback that is still producing, even though, sure, he's had injuries. But I feel like another problem with this is that he's too big of a personality. Aaron Rodgers is too big of a personality to be that mentor position. That he's just going to see it as competition now. He's going to have a bad attitude, and either he's going to want out or he's going to want Jordan Love to go.
Yep. That's why I said I don't see it as a mentorship role. I see it as they might want to get rid of him, because there is 2 ways to look at it, but I just don't see the other way being a viable way to look at it as a mentorship type of deal, because like you said, Aaron Rodgers just doesn't have that personality. So I feel like this was just an awful pick for both mentally and just like they just wasted it, because he's going to be a backup, or Aaron Rodgers is going to see it as competition, going to want him out. So I feel like they could have taken him later in the draft if they wanted to, but I just don't see this pick being very good. So that's my opinion on that.
I 100% agree. I think that you could even say that if it's a similar situation to Rodgers and Favre, how did that turn out for Favre? And how did that turn out for the Packers giving up on him? It didn't turn out that well. I mean, he went to a division rival literally just to spite the Packers, I think we could see a very similar situation out of Aaron Rodgers. Like you said, I like what you said. Aaron Rodgers is too big of a personality to take on that mentorship role. I think he's going to see Jordan Love and immediately get threatened, and not only not mentor him, but play some of the best football of his life. And that's just going to – a bench player is not like – I don't know if he's ready to – I don't know if in 2-3 years he's going to be ready to lead the Packers. Historically good organization. I just don't know. I don't think it's a great pick. I think they could have gone with somebody that just gives – I like what you said it too. I think honestly I agree with everything you said. They needed to give Rodgers more weapons, and they neglected him in this draft. Not only by not giving him weapons, but by drafting his replacement. I could not imagine being Aaron Rodgers on the 24th of April right now. I don't know how I feel. It was like you just got your replacement drafted. Your time is numbered. The clock just started.
Do you think we could see a Brett Favre type of deal of him moving in the near future?
I was just thinking about this. I see Rodgers going to the Bears.
Okay.
Think about it. Trubisky sucks. If Packers, fall in on Jordan Love, then I can see him going to the Bears. Obviously, there are other teams that would need a Rodgers, like the Patriots, and just probably some others. But I mean, like the Bears, Trubisky sucks.
Bears have Foles, though.
That's true. That is true.
Who is a Super Bowl MVP.
Yeah.
Brad knows.
I like that guy. Foles is pretty great. No, but here's the deal, though. Rodgers just came off an NFC title game. Imagine taking your team to the NFC Conference Championship, and then you need more skill positions, and you're sitting here, like Sean said, on April 24th, you're sitting back, and you're just wondering, what the hell, right? I mean, Rodgers had a great season. He made some unbelievable throws this season. He made some great plays. Obviously, there were games where the Packers didn't show up. I mean, the Packers-Eagles game, they lost to the Eagles.
They also lost to the Chargers.
And they also lost,
big.
Packers are fine at running back with Aaron Jones, and they have Devontae Adams, but that's really it for their receiving core.
Yeah.
And Devontae Adams was in and out the whole season with injuries, which is also very.
At that point, they make Scantling their starting receiver, right?
They have Valdez-Scantling. Don't they have what's the dude that has the Vasquez something?
No.
He has like the two last names. I don't know his name.
That's Scantling. They have
what's the other dude?
They had some dude who played for the Bears.
Meredith? No. Let me look.
Let's look it up.
I'm also looking.
Guys, we're not that good at sports analysis.
No, we don't know anything about the game.
You just cut this out.
Devin Funchess, Alan Lazard.
That's it.
Who you're thinking of.
Funchess.
Yeah.
He was a Bear.
He played on the Panthers, not the Bears.
Funchess.
That's what I said. That's what I said.
You said Bears.
I definitely said Panthers.
No, you didn't.
When you'll go back and watch the other.
No, I definitely said Bears. I'm just playing.
Yeah. But yeah. I agree. I think they need more skill position, especially wide receiver. I think they're fine with Aaron Jones at halfback. I feel like they could have used a tight end as well, but wide receiver probably their top priority right now. Yeah. For sure.
All right.
Who's your loser?
Yeah.
Oh, did you come up with the loser, Logan?
What's up? Oh, well, I'll just go off of it just because personally I think I didn't like the pick. I'll just go with my team, the Saints, right? At first, I was very upset that they picked Cesar Ruiz. I was like, we already have a center. We picked a center second round last year, and he's played fine. Eric McCoy is a great pick, right? And then we come out and we make another offensive lineman, which I was like, come on, Jordan Love was still available. I knew deep down we weren't going to go for a quarterback this year just because Drew Brees still has 2 years left on his contract. However, there was some amazing linebackers that Seattle took, and who else took? There was another team at the right after Seattle. I'm blanking on it.
Let me check. I have it pulled up. The Ravens. It's Patrick Queen.
Yeah. So I liked both of them, and I thought those would have been great picks.
I feel like you guys could have used him.
But I think what was going through Sean Payton and Mickey Loomis's head is that our run game struggled last year. Alvin Kamara was off and on injured, but I think the big problem with it was just we had some gaps in our O-line with Warford, and his contract's obviously up next year. And we've seen that Cesar Ruiz can play center and guard, and so can Eric McCoy. So if we can fill that void, fill that little gap, and just slide one of them over to guard, I don't think there will be a problem there. But still, honestly, I don't think that's what Saints players were looking for. I think we were looking for at our linebacker position right now, we have Demario Davis carrying the team, and Kiko Alonso and Alex Anzalone are riddled with injuries, and they're just not performing how anyone would want them to perform on their team. So I feel like with Demario Davis carrying that up, our run defense is like being affected in that second line of defense right there too. And just like the short passes and everything like that. So another linebacker I thought would have been a great pick, but it is what it is.
Yep. Do you guys have any surprise or diamond in the rough picks, underrated picks? I know I have one, but I've been going first this whole time, so I'm gonna give it to Brad. Brad, what is your diamond in the rough pick for this first round?
Joe Burrow. Oh my gosh.
Jalen Reagor is my diamond in the rough pick.
All right, next person, Logan. Who is your diamond in the rough? No, just kidding.
I mean, look, Jalen Reagor is getting slept on by so many people in the Eagles community, but then it's really half and half. I've been looking at this, and gosh, the Eagles god EDP 445, man. Look, it's collective. Eagles should have traded up for CeeDee Lamb. That's something that the Eagles community we're looking at, and we're just like, why didn't you do this? Because the Falcons, they were looking to trade down or trade back. They didn't really need to make a pick there. And we had an opportunity, man. I mean, I think Howie Roseman laid out a gamble and really thought CeeDee Lamb wasn't going to be taken. I mean, I don't blame him. I didn't think the Cowboys would take it either. But, I mean, yeah, Jerry Jones does what he wants, like CeeDee Lamb. I mean, big woofer right there, falling down to 17. Jalen Reagor, though,
but who's to say that CeeDee Lamb wouldn't get picked up by Miami? You know, because I feel like they could use a wide receiver. They have Devontae Parker, who is great, but other than that, it's mediocre. So
going off of that, who's to say Reagor wouldn't drop to 53? I
say Reagor would drop to 53. I guarantee you, if the Eagles didn't pick Reagor, he would not be there in the second round by the time they were up.
I agree with that.
Because he was he was the 9th ranked wide receiver in this draft. Yeah. So
he would not be there. That's just the guy the Eagles need, man. Doug Peterson is a great coach. All right, he's still roughly new in this league. I think he can, he can put Reagor and put him in positions where he can thrive. Reagor's going to do a lot better than people think he's going to do, and he deserves a lot more credit than he's getting. Great kid. Love where he's coming from, Texas Christian. And, I mean, his ball skills are just, I mean, I don't know, man. I like it a lot.
You say he's good with balls?
A lot.
You like his ball skills a lot?
I like his ball skills a lot. You guys are gross.
Who said it?
Balls.
Yeah. I don't know. I feel like my sleepers. Okay, I have a few.
You get one. You get one, so you don't steal us. You don't steal me.
I know. I feel like the back half of the draft, like the last 8 picks or so, could all be considered sleepers.
Don't say it. Don't say it. Don't say it.
Buck says he says the Chiefs pick.
No. I think.
Stop, Brad. Shut up.
I think.
Brandon. I go next.
I think Brandon Ayuk to the 49ers is going to be a good pick. I've got, again, living in Arizona, we've gotten a chance to watch him, but he's speedy. He's good with the deep ball. He can run routes. He's good running after the catch. He's good in open field. He helped Jaden Daniels, the quarterback, immensely, and Manny Wilkins.
When Manny Wilkins was hurt, there was a quarterback playing Arizona State too. So I feel like with 25th, I feel like that's going to be a sleeper pick. I feel like he's not as big of a name. He's 6'2", 205,
He's got a 4.5 unofficial 40-yard dash and a 40-inch vertical jump. So I feel like with Jimmy Garoppolo throwing in balls opposite of or not opposite, but with George Kittle in the offense and replacing Emmanuel Sanders, I feel like that'd be a good fit for him. So,
and he's got Deebo Samuel
like
to be.
And Deebo Samuel, yeah. So I like Brandon Ayuk to the 49ers.
I'm going next. Sean, so you don't take my pick.
Don't say it.
I have to go with Clyde Edwards-Helaire, dude. My man, the only running back taken in the first round, but how he played, obviously LSU was definitely a pass-heavy offense, and I see that as someone brought up before, how Joe Burrow plays like Patrick Mahomes does, how he's still agile enough, can roll out. But just to have that running back that can pick up a screen pass. And the only thing that I see wrong with Edwards-Helaire play is probably the fact that he's not that good of a blocker. So if they get that figured out to where he can pick up a block coming in off a blitz or something like that, I think that was definitely an underrated pick. So
I mean, they also have Damian Williams to do that for them too. You got to keep in mind, I mean, the Chiefs, Damian Williams is a solid running back, and I think this new addition that they're adding is fantastic. It's pretty good for the 32nd pick.
Steal.
1-2 punch right there, dude. It
just wasn't a running back heavy. Well, it just wasn't running back heavy first round. Mm-hmm. But I think we're going to see a couple more taken second round. But as needs need to be filled. But with the Panthers, especially, I think Panthers and Dolphins are going to definitely go for running backs this upcoming tonight with the draft.
Yeah.
How many picks do the Dolphins have in this draft total? Do we know?
Like 13 or 14.
Something ridiculous.
How many?
They traded back. They traded back, so they have 14 now.
What
they have
pick
two
do they have
in the
second round?
They have their own pick at 39. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I could see them taking a
7
running back.
and 24.
I could see them taking a running back, and I honestly don't know who they. I don't know. I honestly don't know who they could take with the second round. But
if Dobbins falls that low,
I think they need a running back
go for that. DeAndre Swift or Dobbins, to be honest. I think
one of them will drop. I look at the teams like Cincinnati Bengals have something pretty good with Mixon. I'm just going down the list. Maybe the Redskins. Who's the Redskins running back as of now? Is it Peterson still?
Adrian Peterson, yeah.
They might take someone.
They need someone.
They might take someone. But I don't know if they'll take him this early. They might think they have enough juice out of Peterson to last one more year. Lions might take one.
Because no one wants to stick with an old running back, So if they pick up another one, we can see the mentorship there, just playing behind. Sure. So we'll see what happens there. But
yeah. My diamond in the rough was also Edwards-Helaire. And I hate you, Logan, because you're dumb. And you stole my diamond in the rough. But no, I completely agree. Like, that was a pick that I don't think anybody saw coming. But when you're at a position like the Chiefs, where you have pretty much lost nobody, you're coming off a Super Bowl win, and last year you were in the AFC Championship game, and you've only gained people. You haven't lost anybody. It just says a lot about your team and a lot about the success you're going to have next year. And just getting Edwards-Helaire, like that one piece that they were missing was a consistent running back. Now, Damian Williams is definitely not inconsistent. He's definitely a good running back. But I think a next generation is star running back for them. Edwards-Helaire might be the way to go with the receiving back for that team. The ability to improvise and make plays with Patrick Mahomes is insane. I think a running back that's a receiver at that too could be just a really good pick for them. Yep. So that's what I have to add to that. I don't really have anybody else prepared as my diamond in the rough.
I agree.
I think we should. I feel like we're pretty close to ending this. I mean, we all got our own teams. Obviously, Sean has the Cardinals. Zach has the Chargers. Logan has the Saints. And
no, I'm a Dolphins fan now.
Baby.
I'm a Dolphins fan now.
I mean, I don't blame you, honestly. Looking at the second round, just the second round, really, what position and what player do you think your team is going to snatch up?
Well, I can tell you exactly what the Cardinals are going to do with their second round pick. See, they've been planning this for a while. DeAndre Hopkins.
Okay.
They basically drafted DeAndre Hopkins at 40. That's what they did. Chargers, honestly, I feel I could see them going for O-line. For sure.
Do they still have a second round pick?
Oh no, we don't have second round pick.
Did you trade away your second round pick?
We traded it with the Patriots, with the third round pick because we have third round, but we traded the second and fourth. So I'm pretty sure we have third. I could see him going D line, like a D tackle, because we have Joey Bosa, we have Brandon Mebane, but we need a D tackle for sure. I could also see us getting I don't know, O line and D line maybe. We have Hunter Henry at tight end. We have Mike Williams, Keenan Allen, receivers. We also have Austin Eckler at running back. Justin Herbert at quarterback. We just traded for Chris Harris cornerback. We have Adrian Phillips, Casey Hayward, Derwin James at safety. Derwin James is a strong safety. I could see us going with a free safety maybe. But D line and O line will probably be what they should get. Because we have an edge rusher and Joey Bosa at the left end, but I can see us getting a D tackle, but you never know.
Logan?
Oh man, I was hoping it wouldn't get here. So what I'm thinking, what I'm hoping for is a linebacker. So I was just scrolling through the available linebackers, and we can definitely see two studs up there with Logan Wilson coming out of Wyoming and Jacob Phillips out of LSU. I like both of them as potential to help fill in that spot that we need another linebacker. However, I think linebackers are going to go fast this round because it's a need for a lot of players. So I wouldn't be surprised if we see a trade once a linebacker's taken. The Saints try to trade up as well to pick up a solid linebacker because we're sitting at the 24th pick in the second round. So
yep.
I don't think we're gonna wait for something to fall to us. I think if anything, we're gonna try to work our way back up to hopefully top 10 in the second round, top 10 pick. But we'll see what happens.
I could see. So the remaining linebackers, obviously, Isaiah Simmons is gone. Kenneth Murray is gone. Patrick Queen is gone. And then Jordan Brooks is gone. I could see you guys taking Logan Wilson out of Wyoming. He played all 4 years, so he's a little bit older going into his rookie year. But he's 6'2", 241. Zach Braun out of Wisconsin, 6'2", 238. There's also Troy Dye, senior out of Oregon, 6'3", 231. So there's still some good linebackers out there to pick up if you're the Saints. But I definitely feel like you guys missed out on Kenneth Murray or Patrick Queen for sure in that first round. But they're still solid. Yeah. There's still solid linebackers left.
The Eagles, man. The Eagles lost Malcolm Jenkins. Mm-hmm. He's now on the Saints.
He sucks. Malcolm Jenkins sucks.
Okay. Well, I don't care anymore. He's not on the Eagles. Here's the deal, though. Jalen Mills was one of the Eagles' star cornerbacks that they had, and they're going to have him fill that position of safety. But I wouldn't be surprised with them here going Xavier McKinney if he drops down to their pick. Xavier McKinney, Grant Delpit is also a good one for them. We got Ashton Davis. I was listening to a few podcasts about the Eagles, and those were three names that were huge. And then the Eagles are in desperate need for linebackers.
Yes. I agree.
Desperate need. I'm looking at this right now, man. They got Trent Edwards, Nathan Gary, and then dude, their left outside linebacker is someone I've never even heard of before. Dude, they need linebackers, and so it's really the same situation as the Saints. I see them doing the same thing, maybe trading up or trying to locate someone that's still available. Looking at
Brad, you're talking about Xavier McKinney dropping down. Right now, ESPN has him as the best available. His overall rank was 17. He was expected to go the first round. And you guys are still pretty low down in the draft. So with that even falling down to, 21, is going to be very hard, I think, for someone to – but you can continue. Sorry, I didn't want to cut you off. But
there's also Grant Delpit out of LSU, I'm sorry. And then Ashton Davis out of California. Look, their big need is linebackers. It's not safety help. We got Jalen Mills filling that position for Malcolm Jenkins. Yeah, I mean, really, it's just the same position that New Orleans is in right now. We have nobody for linebacker.
Wait, can you say New Orleans again?
Yeah, well,
New Orleans.
No, say how you said it.
say
New Orleans.
New Orleans.
New Orleans.
Shut the hell up. All right.
Dude. New Orleans.
Look,
That's funny.
The Eagles are looking stout. They have a good defensive line. Their free safety, Robbie McLeod and Jalen Mills, looking pretty good. They have Darius Slay, Nikhil Roby-Coleman, Avonte Maddox as their cornerbacks. And then if you look on the offensive side of the ball, Deshaun Jackson, Jalen Rieger, Dallas Goedert, Zach Ertz, Boston Scott,
they traded Aguilar.
Miles Sanders, left tackle, left guard, and center, and Lane Johnson, Brandon Brooks, and Jason Kelsey.
Brad, can I be honest with you right now?
Go ahead.
All I'm hearing right now out of your mouth is just trash. I think they should scratch the whole team.
Okay.
Scratch the
That
whole
could
team.
be some. I don't know. There's some bias. Like obviously, it's gonna be biased because it's your favorite team. But I do see what you're saying. I feel like you guys are pretty well rounded. So I feel like the Eagles are in a good spot for sure. If they get a linebacker, they'll be in an even better spot.
Yeah. I think if the Cardinals had a second round pick, I think name that's been thrown around a little bit, Xavier McKinney. With that flexibility to have Xavier McKinney, it would almost narrow down what Isaiah Simmons can play. The linebacker can play inside, outside, whatever you need him to play. And also if he needs to go up to that safety spot, he can. Obviously that's not an option. The Cardinals don't have 8, but I think that Xavier McKinney could drop to 8 if the Cardinals didn't have that pick. And he could reasonably drop to 8 since he's already dropped so far. Cardinals can make that pick. Just beef up that defense that needs a little bit of help.
So what positions do you think that the Cardinals need, like, for sure, like 100%?
I think we need another tackle, which really sucks because this tackle class was really deep. And we've seen about six tackles go in the first round. Obviously, a lot of people had us picking worse, but you can't
pass on Simmons. You can't
pass on Simmons, especially since it's a position that we need help in. We need some defensive help.
I think the Cardinals need a cornerback. I think they need another cornerback opposite of Pat Pete.
I don't think that's their biggest concern right now.
I don't think
they already have
Byron
Murphy.
Byron Murphy is like this will be his second year in the league.
I don't know, man.
And he's shown flashes.
I feel like they need one more. Just one more.
See, but that's the thing. What's more important right now, defending and helping Kyler Murray, or secondary help? Even though they already have a decent
the Cardinals
secondary.
traded and picked and signed free agent alignment. They signed they got like 2 or 3 in free agency and within trades. So
no, we got a D tackle, Jordan Phillips. So I think that the Cardinals edge rush is really good with Jordan Phillips. That's not edge rush, but obviously Chandler Jones, fantastic edge rusher. Isaiah Simmons can now edge rush. Jordan Phillips on that D tackle can start. We had a little bit of a weakness to the run game. I mean, it was like a 90-something, 80-something yard touchdown from Christian McCaffrey in week 5 or whatever it was. It was kind of bad. The Cardinals' run defense was pretty bad with Isaiah Simmons and Jordan Phillips there. That's not as much of a concern. I do see the cornerback position being something we can improve on, but is it a necessity right now? No. I think in round 3, the Cardinals are going to the best available position would be offensive tackle to protect Kyler Murray. We just need, like I said, watch that Seahawks game, watch that Rams game. You'll see the offensive line of the Cardinals start to bloom and just really do well, not give up a lot of sacks. Really good run defense. I don't know. I just really feel like with that final touch, the Cardinals offense will be complete. Your full line is good. Your Kyler Murray under center, Larry Fitzgerald, DeAndre Hopkins, Christian Kirk, and you have so we have a couple really good tight ends. Not like Zach Ertz, Kelsey.
We have Charles Clay and Max Williams as our tight ends right now.
They're not bad. They're not bad by any stretch of the imagination. They're not insane. They're not starters. Neither of them are very high level, but they're not bad. That's another position we could touch on, honestly. But I don't know if it's third round.
How often does the Cardinals offense use the tight end though? You know what I'm saying? They rely on Fitzgerald.
They never had something to utilize it though. I feel like
that's true too. And when we have utilized our tight ends, you've seen really I see flashes of success in the Cardinals this season. There's just a couple times when tight end usage really got us. A couple tight end touchdowns that they weren't expecting.
The only tight end.
Who's that guy you guys had a few years ago? The DUI guy. What was his name?
Malcolm Floyd.
Yeah, Michael Floyd.
He was actually.
Michael Floyd. I'm sorry.
Malcolm was on the Chargers.
That's
Michael Floyd
that's
was
a GM.
actually like a decent tight end, you know, and he actually played good.
He was a receiver.
He was a receiver.
What? No.
Yeah.
Floyd was a receiver. He was number 15.
Yeah, number 15 receiver.
Oh my gosh, dude. No.
I remember because he had so many drops.
Yeah, he kind of sucked.
He did.
I remember the playoff game against the Packers. There was a tip ball in the end zone. He caught it and scored.
Yeah, I was gonna say that was like the big year that like, and then the DUI happened, got dropped, and he went to the Patriots, right?
And then got a ring.
Yeah, and got a ring.
Yeah,
but he's not playing anymore. I don't think.
No, the Patriots dropped him.
He's washed.
Yeah, he's washed, but
old man.
He's a wide receiver. I don't know. I think the Cardinals have a lot of pieces. Their offense is very, 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 very. I cannot say it enough. Explosive. Their defense is starting to put pieces together, and I really think that Isaiah Simmons will be a nice little toy that Vance Joseph can play with and make zone blitzes. He can run. He can blitz him. He can hide him in coverage. You can hide what we're running. Like, you don't know what Isaiah Simmons being anywhere on the field doesn't signify anything. He can play anything. They're just having that flexibility. Yeah. They don't know if we're blitzing. They don't know if we're going to man up. It's just really whatever we need to do. It gives our defense so much flexibility that with the shootout offense style, and if our defense can make any sort of stops, it's just going to be a scary, scary team.
Yeah, I agree.
All right.
So our third down defense last year was pretty bad.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I agree, man.